Hudson County View live on Uncut, and I'm your host, the guy with the largest arms, the greatest charms, and the words that do the most harm, John R. Heinis, talking the latest, greatest in Hudson County news. So we're still at election season here in Hudson County. A lot going on in Jersey City and Hoboken. As I've wrote and as I've said on the air, there was actually 13 seats between those two cities, and only 3 of them have been settled. So we got a lot going on in this December 2nd runoff. So for that reason, we got a ton of endorsements that have come out since the weekend. So after everybody took a couple days to catch their breath and cool their jets a little bit, we're back off to the races. We had Ward E Councilman James Solomon, of course, in Jersey City. He had his runoff campaign election kickoff on Saturday, and speaking there was Musab Ali. Of course, you guys know he ran for mayor as well. He came in 4th place, did better than expected in terms of vote total. But nonetheless, he's got that endorsement. He's also shored up the endorsement of Hudson County Commissioner Bill O'Day and Christina Freeman, a police officer here in Jersey City. So that's not a bad start. But on top of that, also U.S. Senator Andy Kim, Newark Mayor Ross Baraka, Hudson County Commissioner Uriah Aponte-Lipsky. So a nice start for the downtown councilman, who also handed out a whole bunch of endorsements today for council. That's Joel Brooks in Ward B, Tom Zupa in Ward C, and Jake Ephros in Ward D. And I'm fortunate enough to be joined by him today. So we're going to sit down and talk about what's going on in the Heights and what he thinks of this runoff election. And then in the Mile Square City, some really critical endorsements there for that mayoral race. You have former Mayor Dawn Zimmer, who served between 2009 and 2017. She's backing Councilwoman at Large Emily Jabbour, while 2nd Ward Councilwoman Tiffany Fisher is backing Michael Russo, the 3rd Ward Councilman. And the two exchanged a lot of words throughout the campaign, and most of them were not very cordial, so this surprised some folks. But you got to remember that Liz Urtecho, who ran with Councilwoman Fisher, was kind of a woman without a country, because 2 of Russo's at-large members and all 3 of Jabbour's at-large members made it. So she was the odd person out, and for that reason, Urtecho's now on Russo's slate, and I'm sure that played a huge role in Fisher endorsing. So we're going to talk about all that and a whole lot more right after this word from our sponsors.
No one plans on heart disease, but everyone should have a plan for it. We help patients of all lifestyles and medical histories plan for healthy hearts. We offer convenient screenings without judgment, hundreds of preventive programs, and women's heart specialists. And we're the largest cardiac surgery program in New Jersey. Make plans for a healthy heart with RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants. All major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-27.
Hudson County View live on Uncut, John R. Heinis. So, you know, these endorsements for Councilman Solomon in Jersey City, not wildly surprising. I mean, there was a big coalition and a big sentiment going into this race that a lot of people were just anybody but Jim McGreevey for a whole multitude of reasons that we've expressed over and over and over right from this studio. So with that said, it wasn't much of a surprise to see Bill O'Day, the veteran Hudson County Commissioner, come out in support of Solomon, even though they did trade a couple shots throughout the course of the campaign. And, you know, I think his statement sums it up better than I could. As a lifelong Jersey City resident, I know we need change, and James is the one people can trust to deliver that. He's committed to transparency, accountability, putting residents before special interests. James will put Jersey City first, which is why I'm endorsing him in the runoff. So, speaks for itself, like I said, and he lost to McGreevey by about, that's O'Day, by about 4,290 votes. And that's the preliminary tallies from the Hudson County Clerk's office. So that'll be certified most likely next week, assuming everything goes according to plan. And you'll recall that post-Labor Day, O'Day really went after McGreevey on everything, talking about getting those lifetime benefits after working at the county, of course, talking about his resignation as governor, talked also about the circumstances of him resigning from the now defunct Jersey City Employment and Training Program, and the list goes on. There was even that fake newspaper that the pro-O'Day PAC had called Jersey City Today, talking about all of McGreevey's various scandals, and clearly that brings some of his numbers down, if you ask me. So, you know, this was an alliance that was pretty well expected. But in the case of Musab Ali, he was a little more aggressive towards Solomon towards the end. Nonetheless, wasted no time. He kept his word when he was sitting right there with me, and he said, whoever makes it against McGreevy, that's who I'm endorsing. And again, he stuck to his guns there. And he was actually there at the runoff kickoff on Saturday, and he actually said a few words in support of Solomon and the team. And then yesterday, he made it official, putting the pen to paper, if you will. And he said, I'm proud to endorse James Solomon for Jersey City Mayor in the runoff election. James has a clear plan for affordable rents, safer streets, better schools, and an accountable city government. He listens to residents, works across differences, and delivers solutions that lift up every neighborhood. Jersey City needs leadership that puts people first. James Solomon is that leader, and I urge all voters to support him on Election Day. And for those of you guys that follow him on social, he put up a Instagram and TikTok video that was kind of funny with those guys hanging out. So some real high-quality Gen Z content, if I say so myself. Now, also, with that point, we have Christina Friedman, again, a police officer in the city. She finished a pretty distant 6th place, but this was her first time running, didn't have a really real campaign infrastructure. And at least from what I'm hearing from voters and from residents, a lot of people, just liked her personally and appreciated her putting herself out there, even though it wasn't ever going to probably be a winning effort. She came out for Solomon as well, and she said James Solomon has true dedication to our city and its residents. His vision for a more inclusive, innovative, and accountable Jersey City aligns with the values I ran on. So pretty self-explanatory once again. The only person who has come out from McGreevy thus far is Council President Joyce Waterman. She finished in a distant 5th place. I mean, she got 2,490 votes, and Musab Ali got 11,876 votes. So there was a big drop off there, as you guys probably know by now. And she said that she likes McGreevy's track record, particularly what he's done with reentry, but also what he did in public service as well. She says, Jim McGreevy has spent his life lifting up those too often left behind. As mayor of Woodbridge, he built neighborhoods and balanced budgets with compassion. As governor, he expanded access to education and environmental protections through the New Jersey Reentry Program. He has provided over 25,000 men and women returning from prison with a genuine path to employment, health care, and dignity. Jim leads with his heart, and he understands that public service is about people, not power. So, no one else that was in the mayoral race has expressed that sentiment, but that's where we are. There was one other candidate, Kalki Jane Rose, but as I wrote, and as you guys know, didn't really do any social media. He didn't have any campaign finance to speak of, didn't do any fundraising, in other words, and also didn't do any forums, didn't do any debates. So not exactly an endorsement people are going to be bending over backwards for, but I imagine that's the end of that. So, also talking about Jersey City endorsements, we also got to speak of, some of the council races. I told you who Solomon endorsed earlier today, but then yesterday you have Katie Brennan, and she's the state assemblywoman-elect here in the 32nd Legislative District. She backed Tom Zupa. Zupa actually endorsed her just a week before that competitive June 10th primary that had 6 candidates, and she decided not to endorse anyone in last week's election for the nonpartisan council races, at least in Ward C, that is. But now she's come out for Zupa, and she said, Tom understands that the cost of housing is way too high in Jersey City, and he knows that the city could be doing a lot more to keep rents down. If you live in Jersey City, make sure to vote in the runoff election on December 2nd. Also notes that they both were part of the Journal Square Community Association, and she's known Tom a long time, and they're friends. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but you get the picture. She's also endorsed Joel Brooks in Ward B, and as well as Jake Ephros in Ward D. So, looks like Councilman Rich Baggiato is going to have definitely a spirited campaign. So, let's see what him and Jim McGreevy decide to do in this Ward C runoff. Of course, Baggiato, it needs to be said, is 3-0 in runoffs, 2013, 2017, 2021. Successful in all 3 of those. Let's see if he can make it 4 as the odds start to pile up against. I mentioned at the top of the program, Hudson County Commissioner Ida Ponte-Lipsky endorsed Solomon. She also backed Zupa as well as Ephros and D. So with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when I come back, I'm going to be sitting down with just that person. That's Ward D Council candidate Jake Ephros. We'll be back in just a few.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one pass stop away, or a quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintodevelopment.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Hudson County View live at a cut. John R. Heinis, as I said a few moments ago. Today I'm sitting down with Jersey City Ward D Council candidate Jake Ephros. Jake, good to see you. Congratulations on making it to the runoff.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me back on, John.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so obviously it was a crowded field. You started early, you did a lot of mail, you did a lot of lit drops, and you hit a lot of doors. What do you think was key to making it to the December 2nd runoff here?
So the two key ingredients were, one, the ground game that we put forward and the message that we put forward. You know, we had well over 200 volunteers. We knocked well over 30,000 doors. I personally knocked well over 7,000 doors in the campaign, attempts at those conversations in person with people in the neighborhood. And we made tens of thousands of phone calls, had like grassroots fundraising of 100,000 plus for an independent campaign. We're really, really proud of that. And through that ground game, we were able to share like a really clear message of a Jersey City that works for working class people, where we put working class people in power to win universal rent control, universal child care, and safe, clean, green streets. And that resonated with people, just talking over and over again about we deserve more. We deserve to tackle the cost of living crisis, and we deserve the quality of life for all that we pay to live here.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, I mean, look, obviously last Tuesday was interesting for a whole multitude of reasons. We'd be here for hours discussing, but in brief, you know, across the river, of course, we saw Zohar Mamdani won the mayoral race very easily, which was anticipated, but probably not by the margin that he did. So clearly there's an appetite in this part of the country for the Democratic Socialists of America and their agenda, which you and your friend Joel Brooks are running on. So what do you attribute that to, if you had to take a guess?
Yeah, right now we're seeing, to be frank, the Democratic Party leadership and establishment failing working people. We're seeing Senate Democrats really cave to the Trump administration with this shutdown, and people are really rightfully angry with the Democratic establishment. I think they're largely out of touch with ordinary working class people. So there's an appetite for something different. There's an appetite for political organization that speaks to our needs as ordinary people. And I'm a proud member of DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, as you mentioned, and proud to be part of the same movement that Zohar Mamdani is in. And the kind of support that we get as being candidates in DSA means, we're not just doing this alone. We're not just trying to get elected and maybe pass some good legislation here and there, do what we can, but feel the pressures of the system once we get in. Actually, we feel insulated and supported by a democratic, member-led movement where anyone can join, anyone can come to meetings and participate and get involved if you also believe in this vision for working class people being in power.
Got it. Okay. Now, of course, you personally haven't been talking much about free buses or free groceries or anything like that, but as you just mentioned, you did mention, universal health care and universal rent control. So as a council representative, a ward representative, how could you help make that a reality? And what would that reality look like?
So for universal rent control, our current code 260, which governs rent control in Jersey City, ought to be expanded to make sure every single unit is covered. Now I know we have some changes even up at City Council tonight at the City Council meeting, but I think our vision for universal rent control means that no matter what kind of building you are in, with no matter how many units that your building has, you as a tenant should have that same equal protection under Jersey City's municipal code against egregious rent hikes. So right now that is 4% rent increases, or rent increases attended to the cost of living adjustment, whichever is lower. So landlords can raise that rent up to that amount, but tenants should be able to have that equal protection. And so one example of this is there are historically rent control buildings across Jersey City that have been converted out of rent control essentially by being made condos. And so in some cases, the owner of a building will sell the building back to themselves, but just as chunks of condos that get out from under the rent control law by being less than 5 units of condo packages basically. And so this is a huge issue. It's killing rent control stock, skyrocketing prices. And that's something that we can do right here at the city level in Jersey City. It also would require some state action to expand rent control into new development. And state action I think will be needed for universal child care, but not state action only. I think we can work with folks like Katie Brennan, who's now Assembly Person-elect in the 32nd. We've been endorsing each other for some time. I'm excited to work with her in Trenton to expand child care from applying to families 200% of the poverty line to 300%, but also here in Jersey City, getting aggressive on things like the payroll tax to make sure like the largest companies are pitching in, putting their fair share in so that we can fully fund our schools and expand out programs like turn universal pre-K into universal child care too.
Sure. So just real quick before we go to the break. So if you were to put up an ordinance, let's just say, regarding universal rent control, those condominium conversions that you just outlined, that would be banned, right?
At least the condos would also be subject to rent control.
Okay, got it. All right, we're going to take a quick break, folks. Jake, don't go anywhere. Folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Hudson County View live and uncut. John R. Heinis, and I'm still here with Jersey City Ward D Council candidate Jake Ephros. So let's talk about the matchup that we're going to have our Heights neighbors and friends going to the polls on. So obviously it's you against Catherine Healy. She's the daughter of former Mayor Jeremiah Healy. She ran with Jim McGreevey. And, obviously, I guess that would be the definition of an establishment candidate, right? And then on your side, you ran with no mayoral candidate at the top of the ticket, just ran by yourself, an independent, and you guys are going head-to-head. So why do you think you're the superior choice here?
We are the campaign that's been focused on, again, putting working class people in power, attending to the cost of living crisis, and winning the quality of life that we deserve for everything we pay to live here. And I think that's been demonstrated that voters are excited about this. Well over 2,000 votes got us to this runoff with no mayor candidate at the top of the ticket, doing it independently as a first-time candidate, not because I'm special in any way, but because this campaign has been really serious about working really hard And also it demonstrates that even some skeptics who have told me, neighbors who have said, I might not agree with everything you're talking about, Jake, but I can see the work that you're putting in, and I can see that you're going to work really, really hard as a city council member as well. And so I think we've demonstrated that seriousness and that hard work. Unfortunately, I just don't think that we've seen that same kind of vision for what the Heights, the Slopes, and all of Jersey City deserve from my opponent. I think Catherine Healy cares about the community, but I don't think we've seen a real vision for, where are we going? How do we get there? And honestly, who's in the way? And instead, I think she's pretty focused on getting Jim McGreevey elected.
Okay. And you probably saw or at least heard Hudson Media Group's going to be hosting debates for all the runoffs. Are you committed to participating in that?
Yeah, absolutely. Next Wednesday, I'll be there.
Okay, easy enough. Now, when we're talking, back to the policy stuff, we're talking about affordability. Of course, that was a hallmark of this campaign across the city, Ward A through F, right? Now, we talked a lot about rent control already, but when you're talking about responsible development here in the Heights, what do you think that looks like, and any projects that could potentially be on the horizon that you think might be a benefit to the residents here?
I think our North Star, and we've talked about this before, is like social and public housing, really getting more and more housing off the market entirely to have like that be the hallmark of affordability for people, where housing is a right and not just a commodity. Now that being said, I think we're some ways away from being able to construct like totally new developments that are all public, all social housing, but we should be starting to invest long term to get exactly there. And in the meantime, we should be taking abandoned properties and bring them under Jersey City's authority and control, and actually starting to roll those into scatter site public and public housing, affordable housing, social housing, through ideas like our community land trust too. So I think there are some different ways of like having scatter site affordability throughout, even if it's not just, we are constructing and Jersey City is the developer of a whole new project. But I think there's some models that are exciting throughout the city. I think Bayfront is a model that has some exciting benefits. I know different parts of the community have been really pushing for that. Some unions have been really pushing for that. So I think that's something we can learn from as that starts to go underway.
Okay.
In addition, affordability is both in housing and in everyday life. Like we've also talked about, like Zoran, as you mentioned before, a municipal grocery store. I think this is something that shouldn't just be a one-off, but we should have that kind of economy of scale where a grocery store in every ward would be pretty transformative for tackling the food deserts that are in Jersey City, including in the Heights and Slopes, to make sure that no one has to walk more than that half mile to go to a great supermarket with fresh produce and really quality food.
Didn't the city try something like that, though, and it didn't work out?
I'm not familiar with an attempt that failed here in Jersey City, but what I'm thinking is that we go to like logistics chains that have proven themselves in other places and even with private companies, and work with those logistics chains and be able to like identify spots throughout Jersey City that can really make this happen. Again, I don't think this is going to be able to happen overnight, but we start investing that money and we start pushing to actually have this as a model. Again, what do we deserve? We deserve to feed people. SNAP benefits, thankfully, are restored, but like there's so much on the line with the federal government. There's so much uncertainty at the federal government that we can't rely on that. So we need to have in mind, like, how does Jersey City feed people?
Sure, okay. Now, real quick, I mean, whether we're talking about MAGA Republicans or quote-unquote true blue Democrats, you know that there is this intersection that believes, well, the DSA just wants to give people a bunch of free stuff, and there's no such thing as free. Somebody's got to pay for it. So what do you think about that sentiment that's out there?
I think free stuff is being moved upward toward billionaires like, the Kushners, like maybe the Silvermans who are in Jersey City. Like we see the conversion of lots of hard work and the blood, sweat, and tears of ordinary working class people in Jersey City turn into extreme wealth for corporate developers that see this city as an investment and not as a community, and are fine with displacing just droves of people in order to make a buck or make billions of bucks, right? So when we talk about who's getting free stuff, I think we see tax evasion at massive scales across the country by the people in power and at the top of the largest companies, and Jersey City is no exception. We see massive amounts of money being hoarded by the very few in Jersey City, getting away with quite a bit when the rest of us are working really hard to scrape by.
Got it, Jake. Thanks so much for coming
Thank you,
by.
John. Really
Best of
appreciate
luck.
it.
You're very welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
No one plans on heart disease, but everyone should have a plan for it. We help patients of all lifestyles and medical histories plan for healthy hearts. We offer convenient screenings without judgment, hundreds of preventive programs, and women's heart specialists. And we're the largest cardiac surgery program in New Jersey. Make plans for a healthy heart with RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and launch inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Hudson County View live at Uncut, John Heinis. So a couple other Jersey City items. I know we already talked a lot, but quickly, we know that Pam Johnson, who is the executive director of the Hudson County the Anti-Violence Coalition of Hudson County, and she endorsed Denise Ridley for re-election. Remember, they were both in the same field last week in Ward A. It was a very tight, competitive race, but eventually Denise Ridley beat Brandy Warren, who was on Team McGreevy, by 15 votes. So, this is a really close one in a race where every vote you would think in the runoff is going to count. And this endorsement, theoretically, is going to go a long way. And Johnson said, from taking a proactive role in creating affordable housing in the ward to ensuring our youth have access to more recreation programs to standing up for accountability through her support of creating a civilian complaint review board, Denisha showed up in the past and has made a credible commitment to put Ward A first. So there you have it there. Pretty enthusiastic endorsement. So let's see what happens. But that's certainly going to be a close race that's worth watching, if you ask me. And then finally, we'll get over to Hoboken. So now this is a day yesterday that had a lot of Miles Square City residents really scratching their heads because Dawn Zimmer, who, again, hasn't been in office since 2017, threw out an endorsement for Emily Jabbour, and in that endorsement, she actually trashed the current mayor, Ravi Bala, who she endorsed and helped get in the seat. So a lot of people were kind of confused by that, and a lot of people were entertained, and pretty much every emotion you could have in between. And she also took a lot of shots at Mike Russo and his father, who went to jail, on corruption charges at one point. Of course, he's since passed on, so may he rest in peace. But it's a letter that talks about a lot of things that I think is really interesting in a lot of ways. And I think it is definitely worth reading. I mean, just very quickly, Mayor Bala abandoned my administration's commitment to ethical, fiscally responsible, accountable governance. He engaged in transactional politics, patronage hiring, and irresponsible budget practices that created a large, growing structural deficit. He made major development decisions influenced by a desire to advance his political career beyond Hoboken. So considering Jabbour ran with Bala twice, this shocked a lot of people. But again, there was a lot of not so nice things said about Russo and his father, so I highly recommend reading that. But of course, if you're going to read that, you have to read Liz Urtecho joining Mike Russo's Hoboken Council slate. Of course, it's a 3-person at-large slate, 3 at-large seats on the line in a 6-person race. And then Second Ward Councilwoman Tiffany Fisher, who ran Urtecho last week, is now backing Russo again, which a lot of people are shocked by because if you remember the discourse between the two, it's not what I would call cordial. So, let's look at what Fisher had to say in an email blast. She said, people want to turn the page on the last 8 years, the headline-driven, divisive politics that have left our quality of life frayed and city operations struggling. They're not looking at Emily as the agent of that change. They're looking at Mike Russo as the person who can deliver it. So there you have it. With that, folks, we're at time. Please tune in to Hudson Media Group next week. We have a number of debates, and we're going to leave it there. We're going to catch you next week. Have a good one.